Nathan Gill, and I'm here to talk about these 8 key points in creating a culture. I call them pillars. Pillars is like almost the foundation, and that's what we're going to start with first. One of the most important, one of the most important, I take that back, the most important pillar to creating a culture is the foundation. What is your team? What is your business is built on? What is its core values? Do it stand? Did you build your foundation on sand or rock? Foundation is the strength of a building lies in its foundation, right? The main purpose of the foundation is to hold the structure above it and keep it upright. On the contrary, a poorly constructed foundation can be dangerous to the occupants and the neighbors. Um, Basically, I mean, in a metaphor, that's basically what it is. If your core values is strong, if you value the people around you, if you value yourself, if you treat people how you want to be treated, your foundation should be strong enough to hold upright on its own, right? Or hold up the house on its own. But if it's poorly constructed, you didn't really take much time to put in the core values. All you focus on is winning, 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 and getting money, getting money. You're not building a culture, and it's very damaging. I know a lot of people been in successful businesses where it was so toxic. Why? Because they don't know their core values. They don't know what they're standing on, and they don't know what they believe in, and their foundation is built on sand. It'll stand up for a little bit, but how long will it actually stand? I think that is the most important in creating a successful culture. Core values. I put a video of Jason Mahoney talking about how he gets his girls to commit to the team first, and all the little things add up. That's basically their core values, being very intricate within each other and knowing each other, and that's one of his core values. And he was just pretty much elaborating on that. And the example I gave earlier, this house is built on sand, and given the house is still constructed and it's still, built, it's leaning. It's not stable. It's not a stable environment. It's not stable in itself. And then there's this house on this rock, covered by rock, and it's just built strong to last. It'll last for a very, very long time. Foundation has to be solid. The next pillar is courage. What I say about courage, courage is, people equate it to bravery and stuff, but I equate courage to being a calculated risk taker. In every business, it was never just always, we're going to go about it this way only, and hopefully one of these times it will be successful. That's not how a successful business, that's not how a successful culture is started, right? It starts by taking a risk. And one person that knows about risk taking is Steve Jobs. He started Apple in a basement, in a garage, and he built it from nothing to, the device I'm recording this on right now is the iPhone. People call them crazy to have a basic interface with a touch screen and have all these crazy ideas. And now you look and it's like everybody got a version, everybody got a touch screen. That they saw him as crazy for thinking that. And he actually did it, and his legacy is probably gonna live on forever from taking that not the small, but a huge risk and putting his name on a product that he didn't initially see. He just held a vision of where his technology could take him, or what is in his head, and he took a risk and he went out on his own and he did what he had to do. And another person I'll equate risk to, or having a lot of courage, is these pro athletes, the greats, like Michael Jordan and Kobe. Like, they'll sit there and tell you all the time, like, man, I just saw me winning 5 rings. I saw myself winning 6 rings. I saw myself being one of the greatest scorers of all time. I saw myself dunking on Dwight Howard. I saw myself dunking on Patrick Ewing, And but in all honesty, that's a risk, because they put in so much work, and they don't ever know if the work they put in is always going to return to them. One simple injury, one slip up, somebody being jealous of them could have taken all that away, all that hard work away. And I feel like that's a huge risk when you just talking about, you know, being great. It's a risk, man, because you got to put yourself out there. If you never put yourself out there, if you're scared of what other people saying, if you're scared of what other people might think, you'll never know what your potential really is. So I feel so courage is definitely one of the most important when you're talking about building a culture. And this third most important to me is accountability. Um, First of all, I don't rank any of these higher than the other one. I just know foundation got to be the first pillar. So everything else is just, you know, important cues to building a culture. So I feel like accountability creates responsibility, which also develop chemistry. Um, and everybody knows and understand how important chemistry is to a successful business, to a successful sports team. There's no chemistry, there's zero chances you'll win a championship. I think with every championship team I could think of, they always said, man, we just had a good team chemistry. We was all together. Those my brothers for life. Like, we went through the struggle together and we built it from nothing, you know, pretty much the summer building up for nothing, and they were successful. Same thing with businesses. I mean, not, you know, they hire people every day, but, you know, with those people they hire, they make sure they're accountable. They make sure they do their job. They make sure they're committed to the bigger picture. They know that they're gonna be accountable and being honest, you know, and believing in the staff core values. And they know that if I'm slipping, somebody is going to tell me. And that's another thing about accountability. It's also about leadership, right? If you're gonna hold somebody accountable, man, that takes a big chest. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you're slacking. You need to get back on your job. And I'm not saying that just to be mean. We got stuff to prove it. Or you're not going as hard as you should be going, and I feel like you're not giving us your all. The same thing for sports and business. So being accountable is very, very, very important. The next one is each team being studious. Just being studious. When I say that, it's just studying the greats, studying the bad, studying, you know, the strengths, studying the weaknesses of every business or sports team that's in your area of study. You know what I mean? And you know, a lot of people will study success, and we all know they say the same thing about success every time. Oh man, I worked hard for it. I did what I needed to do. I was accountable. I was responsible. I took a risk. I took that and third. Well, is that really being studious, or is that just studying, remembering material? You're not learning anything new. You know you gotta have that in order to be successful. What great businesses do, what great teams do, great coaches, great managers, they study the failures of people in their area. You know, you can learn 100 times more from learning from people that failed at what you're trying to do than learning from people that succeeded. Because they don't want to give you all the keys anyway, or else there'll be people in their area trying to compete with them, right? So they're not going to give you everything of what they did. I feel like those people who make those success books, they're not honestly trying to help if they're not putting their failures inside or putting their failures on paper as long as they're a success, right? You can learn 10 times more. Like, okay, he took this risk that I was about to take. What was the recall on that too? Oh, well, he went in debt. Well, I'm not trying to go to debt. Maybe let me take the same risk, but let me go right instead of his left. You know what I mean? So I feel like you can learn 100 times more, and there's more possibilities in the air when you study the failures. And I feel like that's one of the most important of the pillars. The next one is having faith. Faith is a strong belief in something or someone. You know, and to me, my personal opinion, I believe in God wholeheartedly, and I know something good is going to happen to me because I confess that Jesus Christ died on the sin and came back for us. And I honestly believe in all my heart that something is always good is going to happen. And another thing with faith is, you know, I want to talk about this side because we know what faith is, you know, believing something good is going to happen, right? faith is also having enough strength to go through those times where it's very challenging. You know, the roads in the blocks, you know, the brick wall that's right in front of you. You don't know which way to go. You know, being lost in the dark and just walking. You know, it's those times where your faith is being challenged. It's those times where you need to believe in something bigger than yourself. And that's where faith comes. Like, if you have a vision, you cannot stop at every single roadblock. You just can't do it. You got to keep pushing and keep striving to reach that goal. And, you know, this is a telltale sign that people with weak faith and strong faith. People with weak faith, right? Oh, man, this, that, and the third happened, bro, and I just couldn't get it done. Or not even say that, or this, that, and the third happened to me, and man, that's why I didn't make it to where I was supposed to be at, bro. If I had this, that, and the third set up the right way, man, I promise you, I'm like, you kind of look at that's a sign of weak faith, because I went through the same thing you went through, just differently. You know what I mean? Like, we both going to take our lick at the end of the day. It's the people who bounce back. You're either gonna bounce back or bounce backwards. It's point blank, period. So you can't blame outside sources for your decision that you make, and for the actions you did, and for the failures you accompanied by, or the success you accompanied. You just can't. You got to put it all on yourself. You right? Because I mean, at the end of the day, when you out in the real world, I can't blame Sarah for me not getting a raise. I just can't. It's just something I didn't do. I can't blame Gerald for me being late to work and getting fired. Gerald didn't tell me. Well, the boss gonna look at you like, man, you got the same access to the schedule as him. So that's faith, is just having that strong belief that no matter what happens to me, I can control myself, and I know that something good is gonna happen at the end of the day. This was Steph Curry talking about his faith, and we all know Steph Curry is a big faith guy, believer in God, and he definitely lived by it. The next one is having OCD. Like I said earlier, you got to study the success, but OCD can also tie into one of the other ones. You got to be absolutely obsessive with what you're doing. You got to absolutely love what you're doing. If you don't love what you're doing, then you probably need to find something else. If you have a problem with studying the same move or the same risk that you're about to take, I feel like if you're not able to study it for hours, I feel like you should probably just drop it or leave it, or find something that you actually love to do. A lot of people say they want to be football players. Okay, cool. Tell me your work. Tell me how you working every day. Oh, well, shoot, man, I wake up at 6 o'clock every morning. I work out with the team. Then in the afternoon, I work out with the team. I go to work. I go back home. I make sure I eat right, and you know, I do it all over again, man. Nobody waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, okay, you waking up at 6, but this guy over here is working. He work out at 6 with you. He go to work. He come back home. He do a little footwork drill, and you know, you probably stay up until 1 o'clock and go to sleep. He's going to sleep at 9 o'clock because he got to wake up early in the morning to go back and get that work to make his body recover. He's obsessed with it. It's hard to, this is the guy that's obsessed with it. He's working in the morning. He go to work. He's probably looking at film. He's doing this, that, and the third in the summertime. Then he goes back with the team doing OTAs. And then, he hang out with the team, probably do one more thing. He eats, go to sleep at 9. Why? Because, his body needs that type of recovery in order to be great. And that's the type of obsessive that's how obsessive you got to be with what you're doing. And two great examples I can think of is Kobe Bryant. Like I said earlier, man, he wakes up at 5 o'clock. He works out. He eat breakfast. He go to sleep. He wake up at 12. He works out. He go back home. He gets something to eat. He take a nap. He spend time with his family. Then he's right back in the gym around 8 to 9:30, 10, practicing a move, practicing something, practicing his jump shot. And then he go to sleep. He do it all over again. He said he did that for 8 years straight. So he got pretty much 8 years. He's 8 years ahead of anybody he played against. Floyd Mayweather, the same person. The same person, just different sport. Jogging at 1 o'clock a.m. All right, he'll go to sleep. He'll go to the weight room at 9. punch the bag, um, go to sleep, go back in the gym at 2, do his workout, ab workout, weight room workout, go do the press, go do what he need to do, then he's back in the gym, going as hard as he can for however long it may be, 1 hour, 2 hours, we don't know. Then he go to sleep, he wakes up at 2 o'clock, he got a job. Once he thinks about money, when he think about, you know, his brand, he wakes up, and that's how obsessive he is. He know what he got to do. He know exactly what he got to do, and he does it. He's not second guessing it. He know in order to be the best, which he's obsessed with, in order to be great, which he's obsessed with, in order to get money, which he's obsessed with, he got to do what he got to do, and he does it. Same thing with Kobe. Same thing with business. Steve Jobs was spending, I don't know if you've seen a movie, but he was really sacrificing family time for his product. He was sacrificing family time for his product, and that's how much he loved it. You know, he was obsessed with it. He just wanted to be great. And it's not even that he wanted it to be great. He just saw a vision. He was so obsessed with it. He's like, man, I gotta get it. I gotta get it. I gotta get it. I gotta know. And that's one of the most important things that you gotta be. You gotta be obsessed with what you're doing. The next thing is consistency. Consistency shows me, you know, from the outside looking in, you know, how consistent you are, show me how dedicated and how determined you are to whatever craft you're doing. If you can do it every day, if you're doing it every day, you're going hard at it, and you really breaking it down to the little details, you know, you really break it down bit by bit by bit, and you're consistent with it, I honestly feel like there's no way you can lose. Eventually, you're going to get it. But, like, I'm a trainer, and I get a lot of people who's like, man, I want to lose 10 pounds in 1 week. I want to lose 10 pounds in a month. I want to do this, that, and the third. I'm like, first of all, if you lose 10 pounds in a week, you need to go to the doctor. I don't know if you're healthy or not. Second of all, if you want to lose 10 pounds the right way, you need to be consistent with not just working out every day, working out when you need to, your diet, sleep, practicing good habits, drinking, water, all that. You need to be consistent with that. And that will determine if, you know, me personally, I don't like to waste my time. So if I feel like one day you're on one, the next day you're not, I'm not going to waste my time. You're not consistent. You know, I love what I do, and I'm just saying, like, if you're not going to be consistent with it, there's no way I can help you. Same thing with building a culture, man. You got to have people that work at it. You got to work at it every single day. You cannot lose, like what I'm about to talk about next, focus. You got to be consistent. You got to do it every day. You cannot accept mediocrity. You cannot accept mediocrity at all. You got to keep striving to that goal, and everybody got to be on one page with it. You know, if it's a championship, it's my job. Like I said earlier, it's my account. It's my responsibility to watch film and put you in the best position every day. If you're the player, I need to know that you're working out every day. So it's a good balance between the two, you know. So consistency is definitely one of the most important in building a culture. Everybody got to be the same. Man, Kobe was a monster. The last one I got to talk about is focus. Just like I said, it's paying attention to every detail and not leaving a single detail out. An example, I honestly, one of the coaches, I think from St. Lawrence University, I applied to be their GA. You know, I thought I was for sure going to get it, and he told me that I didn't get it. And so I called up there. You know, luckily I got in touch with the coach, and I just straight up asked him. I was like, no disrespect or anything, but I just want to know how can I improve, and how can I improve, and, you know, how can I improve, or how could I present myself differently, or what I need to fix on my resume. He simply told me, he said, the I in I'm is not capitalized. He told me that I and I'm is not capitalized. And he said, we need people who's very detail oriented and focus on the little details, because they add up to the bigger picture, or the bigger gain, or to the biggest loss. If you're not focused, you're gonna lose, period. If you focus, your chances of winning or being successful goes up that much higher. So focus is very important, man. It can keep you from being great, It can keep you from being good. It can keep you from being just outright horrible. So those are the 8 pillars. Oh, and this is Richard St. John, rich guy. He said one of the 8 traits to be a success is having intense focus with a magnifying glass. Very important. So those are the 8 pillars to creating a culture. I feel like